Hello, I'm Joshua, and I'm an INTP, and first and foremost, I would like to say thank you for viewing this video and subsequently visiting my channel. The topic of this video will be on knowledge and certainty, and it will be a remake of a video I had made previously. I received a comment on that video which I am going to respond to in greater detail. But the reason for the remake of the video is that I said some things that were factually incorrect, and there were some items of reasoning that were coherent to me in my mind, but I don't think that I've articulated them and the proper sequence and delineation of things, which I think would lead to a more confusing and misconstrued interpretation of what it was I was trying to convey, as I made that video rather spontaneously, much so like I'm making this one, but there has been a great deal of more distance between myself and the event pertaining to the motivation for making that video. And it's to first say that the initial motivation was came by way of an interaction I was having with a group of friends at a Denny's, and we were sitting around at a table, and just simply one of my friends made the comment that turtles can't count, and I said, "How do you know that turtles can't count?" And she said that turtles can't count, and I took it that what she meant was that turtles don't do what people do, and that is have representations for counting as a neurological phenomenon in our brain, as we have symbol systems in terms of numbers and literal representations, as we can point to things in the environment and voice 1, 2, 3, and 4 items of this and that, and so we can indicate that we can count by way of representation, but just simply because we can represent mental phenomenon that other things can't do doesn't mean necessarily that they don't do it. And I said, you don't really know that, and everyone got offended, and it took me it took that sort of reaction per se, because they were just really upset that I kind of killed the lighthearted mood by interjecting some rationality in the situation, as they were just more so disappointed that I just didn't let the comment go. But it was just this, it just showed me that we have a tendency to hold on to certainty in what we think we know, and we do not scrutinize things nearly with enough detail and consideration to really say that we know things, at least in the with the level of confidence and certainty that we spontaneously accept that we know things. And I even extend this idea to say that how certain can we be in what we know, and just that there is an innate anthropomorphic landscape that we exist in. That the world to us is a representation that is given to us by way of our mental faculties. That anything that we can conceive, perceive, that we can conceive, that which we perceive, and that which we construct from our conceptions and perceptions, i.e. knowledge, is a product of an amalgamation of neurological processes. Their synaptical firings in agencies of fauna, of bacteria in our gut, and various other orderings of processes and cellular and organismic activity within us that makes the emergent phenomenon of knowing. And it's just that you cannot accept that what you know is an exact description or correspondence, or at least a one-to-one correspondence with reality. What's really there, we can't know. We can only describe, and it leaves science and many thinkers in a game of description, and not really one of it's revisitory description, as in nothing can be done and final. It's just that we will go and use a strict methodology over and over again to revisit the facts, because it's not if they will change, but that they do change, and the only thing that's relevant is why and for what reason, because it's just that the human animal is in somewhat of an interesting position that we need to be able to, if we want to continue to keep the game of civilization going and better advance ourselves and figure out really what to do about some of the problems that we've created for ourselves, it's very necessary and important for us to continue to revisit our bodies of facts and knowledge to make sure that we get the best accurate description. For what we have found in the accuracy of description is the power to make technology and the power to make predictions, per se. And these powers have, I think, in the strongest sense, shown a great pragmatic salience and the ability to preserve life and also make tough decisions. And just that it's fundamental to our survival, and very really the niche of people to make tools, whether they be physical items or mental items. We make thinking tools and we make technology. That's essentially what we do. And abstractions are an item in that. It's just that the constant seeking and testing and scrutiny of things will never be over. It's just not going to be done. And for those reasons, I don't know why people to this day will not accept that we can't be as certain as we like to be in what we think we know. It's why I have the idea that rationality, true rationality, it starts from a place of doubt in one's own conclusions, and skepticism towards the receptivity of information. It's that one has to scrutinize things, and that one has to realize that knowledge is limited in its scope because it is coming from the background and the landscape of evolutionary history. That's where it really arises from. There is not, I guess from my own vantage point, a metaphysical basis, as there's no divine inspiration in the world to give us some perfect item and place of beginning, per se. There is no perfect or completely objective and pure strand of data out there. So we have to take and be fairly vigilant detectives and scrutinizing agents in the way that we conduct ourselves about the things that we know. And do I think that every layman is going to be as interested in epistemology and codification as I am? No. But I think that very really for most people, that just holding things in doubt and being slow in deliberation and questioning what you think is necessarily certain is important and would just be a healthy exercise, I think, for most people to conduct. It's not that I think that everybody is going to be rational, but I think that everybody can practice rationality. And it's important for us to practice rationality because knowledge is important. It's even wrapped up in a expression that people, or really a pithy maxim that people ascribe to, the knowledge is power. It's not that it's necessarily power, but that just if you have an accurate description of something, you can do a lot with it in terms of engineering or figuring out how to act on the environment or how the environment is going to act on oneself, and expectations and guarding and buttressing oneself. I just think that it's pretty obvious that the quality of what you know Not necessarily the quantity always, but the quality of what you know means a lot. And it's just why I'm so stringent, I suppose, and so careful with what I accept, what I say, and what I know. As I said in the original video, that the devil is in the details, as that's something of an idiom from wisdom's history. It's just that there is something very true about our the what are the seemingly underlying factors of the brain by way of its evolutionary history, and it's just that we're good at getting shorthand, large-scale representations of things and looking for causal relationships. We like to seek out meaningful patterns in the environment and use a very linear system of cause and effect to make decisions about things, as we tend to parsimony the world in terms of tools and barriers, things that aid us in what we want to achieve in the environment, and things that inhibit us or will be walls and challenges for us to overcome in attaining our aims and goals. And that is mainly the, I would say, tools and itemizations that the rational center of the brain are stemming from. It's our prefrontal cortex that gives us some freedom in some respects to do a bit more with that natural inclination and truly do this game of trying to play objectivity, or being as intellectually honest as we can be about things. For we find that the more honest we can be intellectually about things in what we know and what we don't know, that we can achieve better results in metrics, even in the shorthand or the attainment of goals. If one only is concerned with the attainment of goals, as extroverted thinking types are, it still pays to have the finest conceptions and refinement of not body, the finest conceptions and refinement of bodies of knowledge that one can have, or the best epistemological structures that one can have, to even orientate themselves and begin to embark on the pursuit of goals and interests. It's just to say that uncertainty is as necessary to the picture of knowledge as the desire for certainty. It's just important to practice uncertainty. And I don't understand why people don't realize the limitations of things, and why people will not just go ahead and make room for uncertainty, even if it's uncomfortable for the mind. As it's a certain kind of personality I know that likes uncertainty, or that can deal and live in the space of uncertainty, but I find that living in that space and dealing with it is best for all people, at least in respects to the pursuit and the handling of knowledge and knowledge structures. It is the very ends of rationality to demonstrate the limits of rationality. It is the most stringent forms of logic that can show the black hole of logic and the absurdity and the meaninglessness that can emerge from it when you try and be so strict and delineated with things. It's just that we're in an interesting paradoxical space and landscape, because we're organisms living in a self-organizing system that's fairly complicated, and life has nuance and complexity to it. So I think it would just behoove us to get on with that picture. And in the end of that video, well, this is new items of information, and in the end of that video I gave an argument for why turtles can count, in which I think demonstrates just something about the underlying picture of knowledge and what we think about our higher order faculties and structures. Turtles have to take in information from the environment and differentiate it in order to make decisions that are conducive to their survival, in terms of gaining resources, mates, and things like that in the environment. So if a turtle, and I thinking of large shell sea turtles have to eat jellyfish, they do have to have a certain quality of depth perception and mental representations to where their mind can take in the information from the environment, see similarities, and reiterate an image in terms of grouping these images and a landscape of salience for the turtle. So the turtle has to say that jellyfish 1, 2, or 3 is closer to me, and that these are all jellyfishes, and that given the closeness or the proximity of jellyfish 1, 2, or 3, that's the one that I should go after in terms of hunting and trying to eat. It's rather intuitive and instinctive, but the base patterns in terms of a turtle being able to differentiate between things and group items within the environment is there, or they wouldn't be able to eat. It's just to say that we take some things that we do and assume that they're anthropomorphically that there is, I suppose, an anthropomorphic monopoly on certain things, but just what most things that we do are just an adaptation of rather older and rudimentary aspects that exist in reptiles and mammals. And we're just another type of mammal. So sometimes the anthropomorphic arrogance that can come from that, and the, I suppose, hubris that one can hold in terms of the soundness of their thoughts without ever testing the validity of their methodology for arriving at such conclusions is rather annoying to me, and something I'd like to see change. So that's on knowledge and certainty, and hopefully you found it interesting, and thank you for watching.